Hello everybody, welcome to our second video of the small little series that we've been starting over here at the tutoring center. And today we're gonna go over the second chapter, which involves production, economic growth, and trade. We're gonna be focusing today on things such as opportunity cost, production possibilities, frontiers, and if we have time also we're going to go over the comparative and absolute advantages. But first, we need to go over basic economic questions. So when we think about an economy, or basically an economic system, the economy has to ask itself three basic questions need to be asked about this economy. What goods and services are to be produced? How are these goods and services to be produced? And who will receive these goods and services? And if you remember, we're involving macroeconomics here, so we're thinking in the basis of a country, the economy of the country. So as mentioned, the example that we've been using before, we've been using oil. So oil producing countries are gonna focus more on since they have the material at hand, they're gonna focus more on producing company and obviously trying to find drilling sites and also being able to provide those to countries that demand it, such as the US and then the rest of the world. That everybody needs petroleum at some point. So so once those three questions are answered, we got ourselves an economic system. So when we talk about economic systems, it can be talked about like planned economies or say capitalist or market economies. And the difference between a capitalist and a between a capitalist and a planned economy, they're basically who controls the market or what happens in the market. So in capitalist or market economists, if you will, private individuals and firms own most of the resources, as opposed to say a planned economy. You've definitely heard of this, like a socialist or a communist government or economy. And in these systems, most of the productive resources are owned by the same state, and most economic decisions are made by a central government. So think of it like in a capital economy is more of the US, and think investors can go in the stock market, invest into other companies, and they're all privately owned, as opposed to say a government like Cuba that its system is not a capitalist one. It has a planned economy in which the government basically controls everything that goes around in it. So once we've asked these three questions and we've figured out what kind of economic system we have, or what goods and services are to be produced, we can go over how these goods and services are going to be produced. And this is what most of the topic of the lecture is going to be about, like how are these goods and services to be produced. So when we talk about how they're going to be produced, we talk basically about the labor or land and capital, which are the resources that are being needed to produce the basically go into the production process, or which is the process of converting the resources into goods and services. I forgot one last one here. So here we actually have entrepreneurial real ability. That's one more of our resources. Okay, so when we want to turn the resources that we have into goods and services, we need to go over basically what we have. So in here are our resources, like what we count on. So these are like our productive resources, and then these involve land. So land, just natural resources, labor, which is mental and physical talents of people. So when you think about labor, what does it take to produce this this item or these goods and services that you're providing. Then we have capital, which includes manufactured products such as tractors, welding equipment, computers that are used to produce other goods and services. And they're all built in each other. And then once more, the last one that we had, which I had forgotten to include in there, entrepreneurial activities and ability. I'm sorry. And what we mean when we say entrepreneurial ability is people that combine land, labor, and capital to produce goods and services. So entrepreneurial activity is basically combining all three of the aforementioned topics: land, labor, and capital. So recapping, our land is including natural resources such as mineral deposits, oil, natural gas. In our example, we've been using gas all along. When we talk about labor, we include the mental and physical talents of individuals who produce products and services. And when we say capital, it includes manufactured products, such as what are we using to basically get our materials from the land, and what our labor is using. So basically the tools that we're using, so as to speak. Okay, so now we've gone over that. We're gonna go over a very important topic, which would be the production possibilities frontier. So what we have in this graph right in front of me, well, right on your screen, I'm sorry, so it's basically right in front of us. So we can call that our very own production possibilities frontier. So we can call this the. So why is it called the possibilities frontier or production possibilities frontier? Basically, that line that you see there in the graph. So picture the border of your country, or in our case, picture the border. So let's say that on the sides, we're gonna let's say that we're gonna call this right here. You're gonna call this the U.S. and outside here we can call that Mexico. So for you, let's say that you want to be in the U.S. So in order for you to be in the U.S. in your country, you need to be on this side of the frontier, so what to say. But anything outside of it, that's not the U.S. So you're not where you want to be. So basically, what we do, we can think of this basically as a border. So we want to be within this border. We want to stay within this border. Now, in this example, what I used, this was an example of backpacks and an example of tablets. And all these numbers, they're measured in thousands. So let's say that I have a factory, or we have a factory, and we can choose to produce either backpacks or tablets. Now, all the resources that we have at our hand, we can either produce only backpacks. So if we use all the resources that we use, we're gonna be producing, say, 14 backpacks over here. If we use all of our resources in backpacks, but absolutely no tablets. Because you can see here, so we have tablets in our x-axis, and we have backpacks over here in our y-axis. So this point up here, this point would be 0,14 if we were to put it on notation. So you see here that we have 0 tablets, but we have 14 backpacks. And that's what we use, so as to say, for all of our resources that we're using to produce the backpack. But let's say that instead, we want to produce only tablets. So we're going to use all of our tablets, all of our resources to produce only tablets. So here, what we're going to have here are 14 tablets, but no backpacks. So you see how it changes here, like the notation, it completely changes. Here in the x-axis, we're producing only tablets, we're not producing any, and the opposite happens on the y. They say that we wanna meet a middle point. So we wanna go to the middle, or let's say that we wanna actually produce goods of both. So let's see if this works out perfectly, or if it works out evenly. So let's say that we want to produce 8 backpacks. Yeah, I apologize, this is not completely perfect. My hands are not particularly steady. Okay, so including our resources, we actually want to end right here in the 6. So let's say that we wanna produce 8 backpacks. So our here would be 8 comma 6. So we're producing 6. So we have here if we're using our resources, and we're them throughout the all the resources in the country. So let's say we want to produce both. So instead of producing only backpacks and not producing any tablets, we're producing 8 tablets and 6 backpacks. You basically you're diversifying, so as to say. But the thing now that you need to keep in mind is you as a country, what's easier for you? Like what's beneficial for you? So this is where a huge concept in economics comes in, and then I'm pretty sure that you've heard this before, or have mentioned this before at some point or the other. And this is the opportunity, and this is a huge concept in both macroeconomics and microeconomics. So you'll be hearing this a lot. So when we talk about the opportunity cost, we're talking about the cost paid for one product. No, cost paid for one product in terms of the output, or we can say the consumption as well. Basically, change another product that must be foregone. So basically, what your decision, what you're giving up. So let's say that here you're choosing to produce only you're choosing to produce only backpacks. So you will have foregone, or you will not have the choice to basically, or not the choice. You will not have the ability to produce any more tablets. You can see you're making a lot of backpacks, but you're not making any tablets. So that would be your opportunity. By going in all out on backpacks, you cannot produce as many tablets. Now, production possibilities frontier. When we factor in the opportunity costs, it's usually not a straight line. So you're usually gonna see some production possibility frontier that it's actually arching, so it's like an arch. And the most common way that you're gonna see a production possibility frontier. So when we factor in opportunity costs, you're gonna get something that looks like this, but obviously a lot nicer. So that's what a production possibilities is gonna be. It's a more realistic possibilities frontier for an economy. Because it's not always in a straight line. It's not always perfect. The opportunity costs. Say we're gonna put in some numbers here to try to clarify more the example. Okay, gonna use say so. Say that for backpacks we have here. We have 10,000 backpacks, and here we have for tablets. And in 3,200 tablets. So for us to find the opportunity cost here, so our opportunity cost here, we want to find how many backpacks per tablet. So basically, how much of each other you're giving up, or what's your opportunity cost. So for us to figure this out, we're gonna 1,000, and we're gonna put 5,200. So for us to calculate the opportunity cost, you see how we have those four values. H1 either in case of backpacks is less. When we're producing one of the other, we'll call this point A and point B. Say, sorry, yeah. Actually, let's call them. So we're not gonna. Call this point B and. So if we draw these points in the graph, say B is here. And the numbers here, since the gonna be they're not drawn to scale, so just be mindful of that when we're going forward with this. Okay, so we want to calculate the opportunity cost, say, of this example that we have here. So we want to calculate the opportunity cost. We're gonna want to divide it by tablets. So how many backpacks per tablet? So think about in division where when you're thinking of the numerator, you want backpacks, and how what you have in the denominator, in this case tablets. So backpacks per tablet. How many backpacks can you produce by getting up one tablet, so as to say? So here, we're gonna want to find the difference here. So the difference between 10,000 and 6,000 here is gonna be 4,000. So draw that real quick. We're gonna write it down real quick. So here the difference between 10,000 and 6,000 is 4,000. And in this case here, the difference would be 2,000. So what we have down here, we have a division of backpacks. So we're gonna want to divide what we have here. So for our movement from point B to point C, like what would be our opportunity cost? How many things you see here that as we move from point B to point C, we're gaining more tablets, but we're losing more backpacks. So we're producing less backpacks, but we're producing more tablets. So in this case, how many backpacks per tablet? So here what we want to do then is we're going to want to divide the differences of those 2 points. We're going to do 4,000 divided by 2,000. And that should give you a grand total of 2. So what this means is what this means that in this case you're giving up 4,000 backpacks for 1,000 tablets. So 4,000 divided by 2,000, that equals to 2. So that would be your opportunity cost. When if a question asks you what the opportunity cost would be, you would say 2. So how many backpacks can you produce per tablet? You produce 2 backpacks per tablet. And you can see that the backpacks number is twice as big as the tablets in here in this case. So you know that by producing one backpack, the cost of producing one backpack is, I would say, it's a lot cheaper than producing a tablet. And you can think that too. Like if you have an iPad, producing an iPad is a lot cheaper than producing a backpack here. And that's basically at the point that we want to get across. So So in here we have the production possibilities frontier, and you look that it keeps arching down. So the more you have one of one thing, the less you're gonna have of the other. So this was our lecture for chapter 2. Next up, we're gonna be covering chapter 3 in our series of lessons online. So stay with me for the next lesson, and hopefully you got something good out of this one. Thank you.